Earlier this year, the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese made this commitment of $250 million to improve community safety in Alice Springs and across Central Australia, but also tackle alcohol-related harm and improve the lives of young people across the region. So infrastructure, education and health are getting the lion's share of this $250 million. $40 million is going towards school attendance. So this can look like on-country learning or cultural camps to keep kids engaged. We've got $10 million going towards mobile service across Central Australia. Anyone who's been to the bush knows that it can be challenging sometimes to make calls or even make texts. So that $10 million is also going towards Wi-Fi and internet service as well. There wasn't a lot of detail around how the remaining $90 million will be spent. The money is still on the table for the region. Just when it will come through and where it will go is still being decided. A local leadership team will be established to help advise on where that money should be spent. I think it's important to acknowledge that this budget did acknowledge that in 2020 and 2021, First Nations women were 33 times more likely to be hospitalised by DV-related injuries than other women. So overall, this budget puts aside $600 million for women's safety, and $194 million of that will go to protecting First Nations women.
Right. So what are you hearing about what impact it might have for Indigenous families, this single parent payment, raising the cut-off age to 14?
Right, so this was a Julia Gillard controversial policy, and it's been undone by allowing single parents to be able to stay home with their child for 4 extra years rather than jumping on to JobSeeker when their kid turns 14. So Anthony Albanese says that this could land up to $4,500 in single parents' banks per year. But there are still some questions being asked by single parents. I spoke to an Aboriginal single mum last night. Her daughter is just about to turn 8. Before this policy was announced, she was going to lose this single parent payment. Because she works part-time, she doesn't get much of the single parent payment anyway. It's about $30 a fortnight. But what's really important to her and a lot of her other single mums is that concession card that comes with the single parent payment. So some single parents are saying, okay, great, we can stay on this payment even if we work part-time until our kid turns 14, but can we keep that concession card, which goes a long way in helping with discounted electricity bills, car registration, medical appointments, even outings like cinema and museums for kids. So we've put that question to the Social Services Minister.
Okay, well, we'll wait to hear on the follow-up with that. What about on the health front? Were there announcements that will work for Indigenous Australians in the budget?
$500 million is going towards improving cancer outcomes for First Nations Australians. $140 million of that will go towards smoking, but also the prevention of vaping. Quite a bit of money is going towards the Medicare shake-up. That's $3.5 billion, supporting doctors to be able to bulk bill kids under 16 and concession card holders. So anyone with a big family might be grateful because people know when one kid gets sick and needs a doctor, then usually the whole household goes down. But also 310,000 First Nations people have those concession cards, so that will be helpful to them.